So RuneScape's new boss is here, and let me tell you guys that this boss is definitely not something that is created for high level players, and is rather a addition to the game for our low to mid level players that will get access to PVMing and want to start out and have a boss where they can learn some cool mechanics and maybe get a good amulet on the way. So let me tell you how the boss works, what loots he has, and who he is actually for, and if I like it or not. So first of all, let's see what we actually need to kill that boss. And the requirements are pretty simple. You just need access to the wilderness, which you have by running there, and level 40 in dungeoneering. If you have both of these things, you can basically go into the PVM hub through this portal right here of the new boss, and you stand exactly where he is located at. When you press on the entrance, you can then choose to either go into the public encounter or the private encounter, and then you can start the fight, and you can just run down here and jump over, and the boss fight will start. And as you can see in a few seconds, this boss is actually not a high level boss. He attacks with standard attacks. I think they are mage based, right? Yes, so you can pray deflect magic, and then every 4 auto attacks he does a mechanic that you see with his bar that he has over his head. So now we have 2, number 3, and 4. The bar fills, and now he starts doing a mechanic. And a lot of these mechanics are just some area mechanics. So basically it's your start in getting used to them and learning them. Unfortunately, if you use dive to dodge them correctly, the dive cooldown will not reset. And this is basically the whole fight. So he just stays here and attacks you, and every 4 auto attacks he does a mechanic. As I mentioned, the first is this 3x3 square area effect. Then he explodes the whole arena basically, just like that. So it's pretty simple. And after he has done the area effects both 2 times, there will be a new special attack that we will see in about a second, where he starts and spawns these thingies. These thingies are nothing different than just minions of his, and if you are not damaging them, you see the boss gets immune and will not be able to take damage from you. So obviously you now have to kill the minions before you can damage the boss again, which is rather simple to do, and they will attack you if you are not fast enough while killing them. So as you can see, it's a pretty neat mechanic, to say so. It's a pretty standard mechanics for a lot of boss, and it is definitely just a stepping stone and a first boss for a lot of people that they can learn. He is pretty easy to do, but will still show you some mechanics that are, in a little harder way used in higher level combat. So basically, he's a good entry level boss. If you finish him, you will then go down the hole right here, and then you can loot his body, and maybe you get something decent. And let's go to the rewards now. Because if you thought this boss would be something that you can farm to make a lot of money, you were probably wrong. Because the loot is definitely not that good in terms of money. But let me show. If we look in the wiki, we can see that he has a lot of drops. He has consumables, he has weapons, he has spirits, a lot of stone spirits, seeds, salvages, and other stuff. But everything is really not worth that much, because he is an entry level boss, he is a low level boss. So the most valuable drop you can actually get in terms of money is the Seeker's Charm, which costs 122,000 coins when you get it. So money wise, definitely not the best. But I think it is worth to mention that he should be a pretty good source to farm some charms. I mean, he drops golden, greens, crimsons, and blue, but especially getting 6 crimsons common from such an easy boss, I think will be a good method for early beginner level players to get their charms to level up summoning. And what about uniques, you might ask? Well, he basically has 3 unique drops. One is his eye, which is the pet. And I think it is a really cool pet, to be honest, because it's a miniature version of him, and I think he looks great, especially with the Santa hat. And then you have 2 items that you can get. These items cannot be sold in the Grand Exchange, so therefore you have to farm him to get them. And one of them is a Dragon Harpoon, which is a tier 60 melee weapon, but is probably more used for fishing. It is augmentable. It has a special attack which boosts your fishing level by 3 levels. So I guess this is a really cool item when you want to go for your fishing grind. And I will definitely try it out on my Bronzeman because we haven't finished fishing there yet. But I think the other drop is where it gets really interesting, because this third unique item and the second wearable item is a necklace for ranging. And it has a range bonus of 21, which is okay. It's good for a mid-level gear, I think, but definitely not the best. I mean, in Essence of Finality have 56, you know. But the necklace also has a ranged accuracy bonus of 84. And as far as I know, it's the only amulet that has a ranged accuracy bonus in the game. So therefore, this could be technically a best in slot item in a fight where you don't have 100% accuracy. But I'm not a ranger, and I'm definitely not smart enough to make the calculations here, so we have to wait to see. But it is definitely a pretty interesting amulet, especially because you cannot buy it in the Grand Exchange. So, to sum things up, what do I think about this new boss? I guess it's pretty clear that it is not aimed for high-level players, and therefore, if you are a high-level player and you were looking for some juicy new boss to farm, I don't think that this will be the right one. But I guess it is exactly what RuneScape 3 needs, because it is a really early on accessible boss that has a cool fight with some mechanics where you can get used to, for example, area effects that we have in a lot of higher level bosses nowadays. And you also have some value in killing him because the drops cannot be bought in the Grand Exchange. So it does not feel like a useless thing to do, because when you get that amulet, for example, as a lower player level that wants to range, for example, it is pretty cool, you know? So I guess after all, it's definitely a cool update. And as I mentioned, it's definitely not for players like him here. I guess he will have an easy fight with that Aztec kill versus this fucking creature. But I think it's definitely something RS3 needs, especially since all the updates that we get at the moment are aimed to, get new players into the game. We also need some interesting content for them, you know? So I think it's a cool update. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you will have a great time farming the boss, a great day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.